Okay, Nick and Andy, big opening game in the Premier League, opening weekend. Chelsea against Man City at Stamford Bridge this Sunday. I'll be there for PST. Delighted to be providing analysis, reaction, and so much more from West London. Nick, what's your initial thoughts on this one? Because these two teams have played each other in pre-season, know each other very well. The two managers know each other very well. But there is one clear favourite here, right?
Oh, 100%. 200%, 300%, 400%. That's nothing against Chelsea. I actually look at their team and I look at health, and we didn't see Reece James so much last year. Levi Colwill missed some time. Fofana missed some. Lavia, who sounds like he has a new lease on everything with Chelsea. The one thing Chelsea doesn't want, Man City visiting them on opening day. Because if they were going to Man City, they could lose and it could be fine. But this is in front of your home fans after you, and I mean, doesn't it seem like you made the call on your coach, who I think had things pointed in the wrong direction, or in the right direction, excuse me, with Poach? This is, man, this could not come at a worse time for Chelsea unless they win.
Yes, which they're a weird team. Maybe they could, but it seems unlikely, and it's been a mess for Chelsea this summer. Let's just call it that. I mean, Enzo Maresca's come in. The style of play has been very difficult to bring into this squad of players. The philosophy is totally different than under Pochettino last season. They're playing different formations in pre-season, 3 at the back, 4 at the back, trying to figure it all out. So many players, so many weird transfers they keep making and moving players on that you're like, hang on a minute, what's all this about? So what is the plan here for Chelsea? Because already Maresca hasn't had a game in charge in the Premier League, and he's already, it seems, under real pressure from the Chelsea fan base, and the ownership seemed to put them in a really tough spot. And again, they've been heavily criticised as well for all these moves and for moving on Pochettino, like Nick said, after it seemed like they were heading in the right direction last season.
Yeah, you asked the question I was going to ask. Does anybody understand what the current just general direction that Chelsea is headed in? I don't need a specific detailed bulleted plan. I don't get it, because it's this constant swinging between managers with very different styles that need very different types of players. And we know they have enough players and they have the money that they can go out and get the requisite players. But the way that they're getting players on these long contracts, what's going to happen? That is a bubble that at some point is going to burst for Chelsea, and we'll see how they're gonna manage that situation. As far as this season, yeah, the preseason was shocking from them defensively. Yeah. And you would think, okay, well, they're bringing in a coach who's going to be much more conservative defensively, and they're going to defend in a rest defending kind of formation with numbers behind the ball. And the players clearly still have everything that Pochettino taught them last season fresh in their mind, because they're kind of pressing high up the field and getting played through really easily, and teams just walk through the midfield. I have a lot of worries about Chelsea, not just this weekend, but for this season. I know they have a ton of talent, but this is, we're not talking about a video game. We're not opening packs of new players here and welcoming them into, the team. It's kind of befuddling what's going on at Chelsea at the moment. I'm curious and excited to see where it goes. But for this weekend, I would expect to see similarly to what we saw in that preseason game between these two teams, where City weren't bothered. City didn't have any trouble with anything that Chelsea were trying to do. So I see this going just one way.
Yeah, me too. It's you're right. Chelsea has the talent. I mean, Christopher Nkunku's been fit and scoring goals in pre-season. Cole Palmer's come back just in time for the start of the season. We all know how great he's been for them, and he signed a new contract, so there's positive vibes there. But it seems the balance is just off, and I still feel they need to defensively, goalkeeper-wise, just strengthen in those areas. And it's just the hoarding of unnecessary talent at Chelsea seems to be just a real problem and a really befuddling kind of situation to try and wrap your head around. Nick, in terms of Man City, obviously we talked about it earlier this week about the potential hearing coming up, the charges against them for alleged breaches of the Premier League financial rules. That seems like it's going to come to a head, and some kind of decision is going to be made about a potential punishment in the coming months, by the end of the year, maybe. So they kind of have that rumbling on in the background, but on the pitch, going for 5 straight Premier League titles, which is just incredible to say that sentence. but the key players are back now. They spent most of the preseason in the US without a large portion of their squad, and they're all kind of back now. A few of them played in the Community Shield, win on penalties against Man United, but I always feel like it takes, and it does, it takes Man City maybe a month, 6 weeks to really get up to speed at the start of the season. So part of me is like, oh, this might not be a bad time to play them. But then you look at Erling Haaland, he's been around all summer, shook off a couple of injury issues, scored loads of goals, looked good, and they generally they haven't really lost anybody, which was the big noise around City this summer. Is Kevin De Bruyne going to go to Saudi Arabia? Is Ederson going to go? They managed to keep hold of those two players for now. And it's just kind of like normal service has resumed for Man City, it feels like, ahead of this game.
Yeah, I'm just excited to find out who that key piece is of the year. We've watched Leroy Sané be their best player and then kind of go away. Bernardo Silva has been their best player. Kevin De Bruyne has been their best player. Haaland's been their best player. Foden, Premier League Player of the Year last year. I don't know who's going to be in offense, so let me just say this. I am very, very excited. This is a big Josko Vardio house. And I think we started to see it towards the end of last year. He got it faster than a lot of people get it. And he's just that big body type, that angry man, good foot skills. I really think this could be his year to be, to get that sort of love that we usually hear given to a Stones or someone like that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to watch Man City throughout the season as all the storylines off the pitch are developing, and even more so than usual, there'll be that siege mentality, Andy, that you mentioned before, Man City and within the squad, and I think that's going to fuel them, like you said, to go on and achieve even greater things. In terms of this game, what do you think they're going to achieve, Andy? What's your sort of score prediction? Where's this game going to be won and lost on Sunday?
I think it'll be 1-1 over the field for City. They just, at this point, like, they're deep enough into the project, and they have the manager that they have, and they have the experience and the familiarity that they do playing to. Like, that's one of the great strengths of City, is they don't have to go out and rebuild the team or really make huge additions to it every single season. Yeah. Obviously, somebody will move on and they'll bring someone in, but the continuity, I think, is a big part of why why they've won 4 straight titles. And even when they don't play brilliantly to start the season, they still get wins. They still pick up the points and until they can hit their stride later in the season. And so I see it a pretty comfortable, I'll say 2-0 to City. I think we're going to see they're going to play a little slower, I think, early in the season to kind of build themselves up to it. And I think that's not necessarily a bad thing for them.
Yeah, I have to mention Rodri as well. He obviously got injured in the Euro 2024 final, so he's just working his way back. Jack Grealish had a good preseason, but got injured, so he may or may not be available for this game. And Oscar Bob, who was really good in preseason, suffered a lower leg fracture, so he is out for a while. So maybe Savinho coming in, looks quite sharp and is wearing a number 26 and says Riyad Mahrez is one of his heroes, and he really does play like him. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on City. I'm going for a 3-1 City win. I think Haaland has looked really hungry. I just think they're a machine, and I think this is a good. Chelsea are just still all over the place, still trying to figure out what they are, getting players back into the system. And Nick, do you give Chelsea any hope this weekend, mate?
No, look, I think they'll be better than we think, but it won't be this week just because of all the things they have to learn. Again, I'm a big Reece James guy. I think he was a huge part of what was missing last year. Cucurella looked very good at Euro. So I'm picking City to win, but I think I'll go 3-1 as well. I was going to go 2-1. Both of you guys took my scores. I'll go 3-1.
All right, that's fair enough. Well, it's going to be an interesting game at Stamford Bridge. So head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the latest from Chelsea against Man City. I'll be there on site for PST. Really looking forward to this big game on the opening weekend of the new Premier League season. Nick and Andy, thanks so much for previewing that with me. Thanks everyone for watching. Enjoy the opening weekend of Premier League action, and we'll speak to you all very soon indeed. Cheers, guys.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.